nice events. If you want to request information or services for any of the partners, please feel free to do so. They are very helpful and love to help. Or you can just get in touch with us. You know, the SG chapter will direct you to the right person. And I think we should come to our main course of the event tonight. So let me hand the microphone to Anthony so we can start the fireside chat.
Oh yeah. I'm getting used to having the microphone these days, you know. I can't wait for us to resume offline events. So this is all we've all been looking up to. Uh, thank you so much for showing up once again, lovely people. We thank you for supporting the community. We thank you so much for being there for us. Today, we're going to talk about something really important, very dear to every entrepreneur in our ecosystem. Um, the question most people ask is, why should I be in changing, or why should I be in a particular place? But there is something that came up quite recently while we were brainstorming about this topic. Without the entrepreneur, there is no community, right? And if there is no community, the entrepreneurs are limited. In this day and time, no entrepreneur operates as a lone wolf, let's say, into inverted commas, lone wolf, like being alone in some corner, secretly doing something, you know, it doesn't work that way. And so the question is, how does the community support the entrepreneur? What are the kind of resources available for you to explore in order to get in there? How should you leverage the resources available for your company to grow? Many people ask, yeah, so you guys are in changing, what are we supposed to do? And I say, well, there are some resources there, but you don't know about it. But the power of the community brings these resources alive. So what we're going to do is today we have two distinct speakers. Each of them are unique in their own right. One of them from students straight to entrepreneurship. The other rose through the ranks of corporate career as a corporate executive and now an entrepreneur. These are very unique perspectives we have. We're very much blessed to have these speakers with us today. So with a privilege, I'll go ahead and introduce them straight ahead. Vika is a young entrepreneur based in Tianjin. Um, Entrepreneurship has been her lifelong dream. You know, some of her roles touch the lives of expats today in China, and she's actively involved in the expat community. Especially, she's the marketing director at Tianjin Go Expats. Currently, she's doing something interesting. Myself, I'm very interested in. She's building a platform that brings the European luxury furniture producers that match them to their Chinese counterparts. So that's a little bit about her. So if you're into, if your entrepreneurship or your business is about import and export of furniture and whatsoever, please get in touch with Vika. She will be very much available to help. Um, Michael is I would say that he's seen it all. 20 years in Greater China, man. It means he was here since the word Adam. And he was in Shanghai actually. You know, he's worked for most of his career with a large US-based commercial real estate service provider. I think that's Jones Lian LaSalle, JLL, those of you who don't know the company. He started the research branch in Tianjin, and that is currently hosting over 200 staff members. In 2019, he opened his own real estate company, which was focused on investment. His company invests into several American quick service restaurants. Sounds familiar? That's the Griffin Business Management. It belongs to Michael. Michael is currently the chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce in Tianjin, and also the head of the executive committee. He's been at that role for over a decade now. In his role, he interacts with a wide range of businesses and government institutions. So normally with Startup Grind, we show respect to our speakers by warmly welcoming them with a hand of applause and cheers. But because it's virtual, I would like you guys to join me to give them a virtual hand clap and welcome our speakers for today.
Okay. Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So thanks. It is true. I have been in Greater China for more than, and Tianjin is actually started in Taiwan and Taipei and then Shanghai, Tianjin. As Anthony said, I worked for a big for JLL. A few major projects in my early Taipei 101. I worked in Shanghai and I've worked in Tianjin. When I came to Tianjin, although I actually opened the office, so in some ways that was in the business in Tianjin with someone else's, and we grew that business. I think one of the leaders of Tianjin. In 2019, I started my own company, and as Anthony has mentioned, so I will say, entrepreneur, yes. Started up a business, yes. Looking at technology, so I'm not in yet, but I'm an informal advisor, what's called prop tech, financial technology. I'm informally on a prop tech company, and hopefully we'll investment there. So to doing more investments technology. Anthony said, I currently with the American Chamber of Commerce. So that's a group of business people. In fact, we had a breakfast this morning, 30 people together in Tianjin. Very happy when me about working with Startup Mentor. I believe in help people. I believe in bringing together. And so I'm very excited to put people together in Tianjin. Stop there and we'll come back later with.
Okay. Okie dokie. Thanks so much for that vivid introduction and a bit about yourself. It's always been a pleasure hanging out with those who have been through it all. And we're happy to have you today. So without further delays, we'll go straight to Vika. So Vika, you could give us that 5 minutes, introduction or speech, and then we get started.
All right. So first of all, thanks to Joanna and Anthony and Startup Grind for giving me this great opportunity. Very happy that GoExpect can help you, and we are here as a partner. And as you mentioned, Anthony, I just came back from my student life, and I just started as an entrepreneur. And I'm getting very involved with GoExpert, which has been since I have arrived in China, one of my biggest projects, one of my biggest passions, and something that have really lead me to more opportunities. So today we're talking about how to leverage the community to grow as an entrepreneur. And this is actually what is happening to me right now. I'm still growing, I'm still learning. And so basically what I do now is to, what I do now is to leverage the community that we have in Tianjin to experiment, to see how can I grow, to see who can help me, and so on. And I was thinking about this speech today, and there were 4 keystones that have helped me during my growth and are still helping me. right now, and I would like to share them with you all. The first one is the importance of having a mentor and a support system and an experimental field. So talking about mentor, I think when we all were students, we always seen, you know, the big titles, Forbes, those big entrepreneurs. And me as a student, I remember myself thinking, hey, how did these people get there actually? And until I came in China and I started my adventure at GoExpert, and in the team, I found a person that then became my mentor and actually enlightened me about the possibilities about that there are, and about the fact that you don't need to have superpowers to have to be an entrepreneur. And so this was really the very first step that lead me to what I am doing right now. And another important keystone was the fact that I am super happy that I am in GoExpert and I have built my support system. I met people that are actually helping me to grow. They're showing me the way. And they're not exactly my friends. They're sometimes much older than me and have their own experiences. And it's a nice environment where you can look up to. And for me was or is still quite essential. And yeah, about the experimental field, as you said, I am a marketing manager here in GoExpert, and we are expanding at the moment. And for me, it's a great opportunity to learn more about the Chinese market, to know more about the consumer market and so on. So I think for me, that I'm still building up, I'm still seeing where I go. The community is essential, is a place where I can try out my strategies, I can see what could work, and I can get feedback. This is also another key and another important factor for me, because the community is actually the first step where you want to try your new service, your new product, where you want to try your new strategies, because they give you feedback right away. You can see if actually your future business will be still there maybe after a few months or after a few years, if your idea is actually will actually work in the future. So yes, and then the very last point, and I think I can close up my speech, is the fact that, as you highlighted before, Anthony, the importance of giving before taking. When I just arrived in Tianjin, I knocked at the door at GoExpert, not saying, hey, help me, I'm here, I need this and that. I knocked at the door saying, hey, I'm here, I can do this, how can I help? And this was the very first step that has led me to knowing people, to having the experiences that I had, and has led me to where I'm now. And so, yeah, this was very important for me. And yeah.
Great. Wow, that's really insightful. Yes, and pick few points from your messaging. Um, Entrepreneurs are not supermen. That is the point, because when you focus your mind to something, you can do it. It's almost a cliche now. People say you can do it, you can do it. A lot of motivation speakers out there, but until you plug yourself into it and commit yourself to it, you would never know it is possible. You would never know the amount of people who are just waiting for you to say, hey, this is what I want to do. And they're ever willing to give you all the resources you need to move on from there. Thanks so much, Vicky, for sharing that with us. I'll hint on a few things. We'll start I would ask you a few questions, of course, back and forth, and just to bring out the relevance of the topics. And then later we'll have question and answer session. And so when our applicants were submitting their, joining the event, they left quite a lot of questions, very interesting questions. And we'll pose those questions and see how it goes. But I would like us to go back to the basics, you know. Michael, how was it like deciding finally you want to, you know, you want to be an entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneur journey and how it all started.
Okay. So as I said before, in Tianjin, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're breaking a little bit.
Let me keep talking, and if you can, Vika, are we okay so far?
Yeah, it's still breaking.
Okay. We switch over to
Okay, okay. All right, Vicky, you can take that, and Michael will fix his connection and then get back to us. Okay, so while we wait for, so yes, Michael, take on the question. Let's see.
Sorry. So as I said before, with JLL, starting a business in Tianjin with some, but this time I decided with my own money, a lot more focus on making sure every dollar is spent, and staff before, and then I started again with just one person. It does make a difference, newer in terms of the risk you take, support that you have around you. Can you hear me, Anthony?
Yes, I can hear you.
I see some comments, people saying they can't. So I'll keep talking until you tell me.
Oh, okay. Go on. Let's see
So,
if it's having a problem. We'll see again. Joanna, can you hear him?
It's a bit breaking up, but I can hear majority.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Michael, continue. Let's see.
right. So the biggest is, of course, the decisions, particularly around invest in, how much money to use, and how to build that strategy. Very involved in strategy, but I knew that behind me, backing me up. A bit different now because now it's my bank account. I have to really decide. The positive is there freedom, which some of the things I'm chasing as I had before, that I wasn't able to try. So very happy to tackle this now. Up there, and let's talk to answer some questions.
Okay. Vic, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, good one. So let's take a shot at the question. Tell us a little bit, what led you to that entrepreneurship part?
Okay, so as you said at the beginning, when I was a student, I always had this big dream, or this big idea of me doing something for myself by myself. And but at the beginning it was just an idea, and it really all started when I entered in Go Expat, and I met people that have already done these things, that are entrepreneur themselves. And I met people from the furniture industries, and but most of all, at the beginning, I was mostly involved with the expats community here in Tianjin, because it's something that I've always been doing also during my studies. So I just continued, and yeah, basically this path led me then to meet different people, learn new things, and yeah, have the right people, the right support system around me. So for me, I'm still on the process, I'm still on the go, I'm still learning. I think because I just registered my my company a few months ago, it's still a lot to learn. I'm really looking forward to that, and finding my way and so on. So I'm really glad that right now Startup Grind is here in Tianjin, and I think I will have the possibility to learn even more.
Awesome. Thanks so much for shedding light on your journey. Basically, would like to know, on every journey there is a problem, and it depends on your attitude towards the problem. Now we want to know, what are some of the problems that you faced on your journey to being an entrepreneurship, and also tell us a little bit on what kind of resources in the community, um, you know, was able to assist you overcome these problems, and those ones that the new ones that you like to see in the community. Let's
Is
go,
this
Vika. Vika, you can take that.
okay. So problems, yes,
Yep.
a lot. There are still a lot not solved. uh, but the thing for me, one of the biggest problem is that Tianjin is not Beijing, it's not Shanghai, it's not Guangzhou. Sometimes you have the feeling, oh, I meet the same people. I don't have people that really inspire me or guide me. This was actually the very biggest problem for me at the beginning, because I knew I could do something. I knew I have my abilities. I knew I have some passion, but then really to put yourself on a specific track and go on one direction, that's, for me, I think, was at the beginning the most difficult part, let's say so. And that's where my mentor came in the game, and that's actually what gave me like the first kick to say, hey, you have to try with a structure. You have to try to talk to people. You have to try out your ideas. So for me, actually, one of the biggest resources was the fact that I had next to me somebody that had more experience and was able to guide me. Of course, I was lucky. I think I was fortunate that I found the right person at the right in the right time. But of course, I'm more happy of the fact that now Startup Grind is starting here in Tianjin, because if I think of myself last year having a community of entrepreneurs would have just been so much easier, and I think it will make the life of future entrepreneurs much easier here in Tianjin.
Okay. All right, Michael.
I think one of the challenges for was hiring people. So when I worked for, we had a big brand name. As a small company, it's a lot harder qualified staff. Lunch was trying to hire a company that nobody had heard of. So that was the first. Did you get that?
Yes, I got that. So going forward, how do you think the entrepreneurial community could help fix that problem, Michael?
I think, and builds up. Number one, you will who are interested and willing startup companies, and to meet those people face to face. And for people who are interested in, it's a chance for them to their own reputation before they have to go or before they sit down with an interview. Easier for founders to find people, people who want to work for startups to work for. So that should certainly help the HR related market.
So which means that with startups, if we have a vibrant community, we would have known each other. We might have heard of what you're doing and the impact that it's having on the society. And so when it comes to hiring, those same talents in the community already know you, and it's easier to have an impact. Is that correct?
That's correct. A second item, I know were submitted about how to start up, talk about later in time, but I be able to sit down face to face with gone through the process of setting and to ask those questions. Filtering down to people who have done that gives you a much better pool of people to talk to about the challenges that you will.
Okay, so just to hammer that down a little bit, I would follow up with a question. Very specifically, what are some of the resources the community can offer to entrepreneurs? Michael, you could take a shot at that, then we come back to Vika. Michael, can you hear me?
Who you wanted to go first? Yeah. Sources, I think you're trying to have chapter coordinators and the other members. So I think one at Future Network, talk to the mentors face, and two, we will also speakers who have the experience, specific businesses who will be able to share. The mentors, the coordinators, and special guests will all be help members.
I see. Okay. Vika, I'm coming back to you. In your submission, you mentioned of mentoring. Most importantly, share with us some of the strategies you use when approaching mentors, and maybe some best practices. You can answer that.
So I think one of the best, first of all, when looking for a mentor, I think you should start with the right approach. The mentor is not somebody that is gonna tell you, you're gonna do this from Monday to Friday, 7 to 8, and then this for the next month, and then next year you're gonna be like this. No. You're still gonna have to do 92% of the work, and the mentor is probably the person who's gonna tell you when you fail or when you are doing something wrong. Hey, heads up, this might be not the greatest idea. So when approaching the mentor or to find the right mentor, it's important to make yourself be seen and make sure that the mentor appreciates you for your skills and has already a clear idea of your potential. That for me was important. It's actually something important between the relationship between me and my mentor.
Right. So you don't just show up and say, "Hey, here I am. Take me as a mentee," right? You need to.
Or hey, I have this problem. Help me. Probably not. There are a lot of people asking for help, and sometimes asking very easy things that you could already do for yourself or research for yourself. So even asking question is quite a crucial thing. You don't want to ask question that you could already know from the community, or you could already know if you could have informed yourself.
Interesting. So, Michael, if any of us in attendance today want to find out how to approach a mentor, what's your best advice? You have been a corporate executive, and one of your leadership skills would be grooming what do you call it, younger executives to become, to rise up to the top. So we believe that you have experienced that. Now, what advice would you give us in finding the right mentors for our business ventures as entrepreneurs?
Right. Well, I mean, Vika made a point, which is someone, you need to do your homework. Because when you approach someone to talk to you for some, and talking to someone, for example, let's say for do your research on that person and ready to ask them that will really, because then number one, the person will, you are interested, and but you definitely need to have some good questions ready and be respectful of the person's time.
Okay, thanks for that input. So when it comes to achieving success, how could these entrepreneurs use these resources to their advantage? When it comes to growing, how do these resources contribute to the growth pattern? Be it mentoring, be it funding, or whatsoever. Michael, you can go.
So I had mentioned my background is not really in tech. Startup Grind is around tech. I was looking to the company on prop did quite a few research on technology companies. I went online and watched so that I knew that I could talk, would understand the same. I think in the list of ad from Startup Grind, you mentioned Michael Siebel, so one of the Silicon Valley stars. Watched all of the videos I could of him.
Wow.
And when he used vocabulary and understand, I wrote those down. I went and looked them up. Business advice in there, not just of great business advice. So lists of books to read, technology and startups, and of those to make sure that asking people questions that I would answers if they used specific. So there's a lot you can do. Of information out there. Do your homework to show that 5 people who are going to ask a question stand out as the one who's done the.
Okay. Vika, you can take a shot at that.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, something that works very well, just because, as Michael said, we all have to do our homeworks, otherwise we're not going anywhere. It's the rule of the 5, of having always 5 widget account and 5 group that you follow. This is because most of the time I am busy on my phone already, so it's very easy to just, when I'm on WeChat, hey, let me check what's up in that group, or let me check the latest news. And really, WeChat is an important platform for me, and I really keep 5. I've selected 5 official accounts that I read almost daily. Some are about general news, some are about news on the consumer market, furniture market, on IT, and anything that could inspire me, give me idea, because I believe that one of the most important thing, at least for me, because I am still learning, I'm still discovering, is to always be up to date about newest trend, about what others do. And I really think that through the exchange in business focused widget groups and official account that already talk about things, this gives me already a lot of knowledge and help me through my growth.
Okay, awesome. So, Michael, I would ask you this one specifically. You have been in real estate. You've worked with investors a lot. When they enter into an ecosystem, what do they look out for?
Right. So an ecosystem can different players in the ecosystem, but I say this in terms of potential partners. When you work with just people who are transparent, so that when you ask a question, you get. You want people who are willing to share some information and who expect you to share some information. Always a bit of give and take. The other thing is, anytime you work with, in particular in contracts, but you want to willing to pay a wage or pay a fair. So I've seen a lot of business deals always trying to screw the other guy. Do is work with people who are willing to pay a fair fee, and this also works. So a relationship shouldn't be sided. It should be, give, respect everybody's time, show up when you and put in what you're going to put in. So for everybody here who's young, I used to help managers when I worked, and a lot of people want to be a founder. What's important is you have to have followers. If you don't have followers, you can't be a leader. So often early in our careers, we ourselves are good followers. We need to, be quiet when someone, pay attention, take notes, and show up. So by showing up and being a good follower, actually will allow yourself to be a thing we all need to keep in mind.
Great. Yeah. So I once met a founder, a venture capitalist, who invests in startups, and I asked him, "Can you tell me what do they look out for?" And he said, usually startups come to them. Startups that they invest in come as referrals from their networks, which means when the community is very active and everyone is engaged, usually there is a likelihood that some information is going to leak out about the upcoming startup that is doing so well or catching everybody by surprise. And that is why I think that it's essential that, for example, founders are heavily engaged in the community. It's their money they're going to give to you, especially with the founders. Just think about yourself. If someone is going to give you money for you to invest into something, he wants to know you. He wants to know your credibility. He wants to make sure that someone within your community can vouch for you. But if you're outside the community and you're not engaged, they come in and say, "Oh, what are these guys about?" Okay, we don't know much about them. And usually they would ask those who are the usual players in the community. And so it's very, very important that aside from having these resources available, we, the entrepreneurs, also engage each other on a lot of basis. As Michael said, credibility is very important. So once they have that much of information, it's easier for them to part money. It's easier for them to part other resources. It's easier for them to recommend you to other resources in the community. Okay, thanks so much. I think, how would you, I'll drift to this one a little bit. How should you advise new entrepreneurs to begin their journey? A little bit of steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. 3 steps will be okay. Vika, we start with you. Oh, you're mute.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. No, I was saying, I think I'll go straight saying what my steps were, because I'm still climbing the stairs and I'm still making those steps. So I think one of the most important stuff is to try to have a clear view about what you want to do. You don't have to have the next 10 years plan. I guess none of the biggest entrepreneur ever had that when they started in their garage or when they started with their small association. But just follow one lead, follow sounds a little bit romantic, follow the dream maybe. And then another important thing is to always have set yourself some goal, like short time goals, because for me at least, and I'm still at the beginning, sometimes it's very overwhelming. Sometimes months pass and you don't really feel you've done anything, and if you don't set yourself certain goals, very maybe simples and but important, then you never know how far have you come. So yeah, these are at least two of the most important step for me so far.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Michael.
Right. So let me make a specific comment. So I know that some of the are from outside of China. One of the steps for them setting up their business through the registration, setting up the, and what I would say there, take your time, talk on through the process, and don't, in terms of, don't try to find a way the process. In the end, you may create yourself. So we can talk specific business setup later, but you want to be clear the business in the right way. Operational, you don't need to worry about those problems. This is things like, you know, business license. So just do that correctly once you're ready to do it. There are out there, people who have set up businesses, biographies or podcasts. You know, listen to those things so you don't make the easy. But as we can have a clear plan about what you want to do, then I think, you know, check back in with your month or quarter. My goals, did I achieve? And if not, you know, why not? So you track of what your goals are, and then hold to see if you're achieving your plan can change. There's no, you do need to be checking in with yourself to make sure that you're headed toward.
Okay, thank you. That's pretty insightful. So what I have taken from both of you is, don't jump on the bandwagon. Um, you know, test your ideas. Um, you know, get into the market, get people's feedback. Be sure what the solution you're providing is really a problem. It exists. And it's not maybe just like 2 or 3 people who have that problem. It's a general concern that a lot of people are in there. That way you can scale. If you start solving a problem that do not have market traction in the process, along the way, you're going to have problem raising funds for your business. So you approach an investor and say, hey, I'm providing this, I have this excellent startup. I'm really motivated. I want to get it done. But he looks at the future and he sees that, oh man, you can't make much money out of this. You can scale beyond a certain percentage. He won't put his money into it. So those are some of the very good ones. Have a plan. Okay, so you know, we talk about, in your opinion, Michael, how could we improve the startup local scene, especially in changing and beyond? What are some of the ways that we can draft this community such that it's easier for members to access? Or what are some of the resources that are missing in the community that you'd love to see within us?
So there was one question: what is the current status community in Tianjin? So I would say, you know, there, for example, co-working spaces, where gather. But I think, you know, as part of Startup Grind over the next, ensure that number one, together for regular events, we can get, you know, interested to talk about those things, to take people to the places that these entrepreneurs, so people who are interested in businesses can meet other people, and there's resources in the community, but tap into those. So I think, start putting together, whether it be incubators, spaces, or people who are interested, so that as we continue to grow this community, access to that, basically physical places, getting, and then sharing the resources that we have, universities or other groups that are startup groups. So that will be something that we will.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so that hits essentially at the core of Startup Grind's community. We're going to take our own time, and we're going to gather all the information of resources available in our community, especially in Tianjin. If you are in Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, Qingdao, and you want to know what's happening in your community, feel free to get in touch with us. We can link you with the Startup Grind executives there, and they will help you. Now, but coming back to Tianjin, this is what we're going to do next. We're going to create a database of resources for our community. So let's say you're a student, you want to register a company, you want to know whom to talk with. Those information will be there. Who are the venture capitals in the system that you can have access to? That information will be available. If I want a mentor in this specific field, let's say microchips or technology, or international trade. So I'll a little bit of rebuttal on what Michael said. Startup Grind is not only technology. Currently, we embrace everyone from all aspects, whether it's technology, international trade, consulting, whatsoever. The community has something to offer. So Michael, thanks so much for that reminder. We would compose the database and then get it out to our members. And also, thanks for reminding us that we need to keep doing this, running these events very often, and we have to be very constant about it. So I'll go to Vika. Vika, what are your thoughts on the topic sentence?
I think at the moment, because I experienced myself right now, being just fresh grad and then I wanted to start a company, one of the biggest problem is that you might feel extremely alone, maybe at the beginning of the process, or you might not know, hey, who should I ask for things? So as Michael said, the fact that now we will have started grind and we will have a database and we will finally have answers to the question that I had at the beginning, for example, I think that would be a huge help, especially for future entrepreneurs and the existing entrepreneurs right now. I know that in Tianjin there are several WUFI and but also a lot of people that are still dreaming about that, student, but also teachers that want to change their career, they want to start something for themselves. So definitely having a community that is fully concentrated on this topic is something that we can see.
Okay, thank you. My last but not the least question coming from me personally is, in your understanding, you have seen what's going around in other ecosystems in other communities. In your opinion, what makes a good community? Vika, you can take a shot at that.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, what makes a good community?
Okay. I think one of the most enjoyable things about a good ecosystem and a good community are the people. And the most important thing is that people are willing to share their connections. This is extremely important, for example, for people like me that have just started and maybe don't have the connection that could lead them to the next project or to the next contract, to the next deal. And I know especially maybe bigger entrepreneurs or people that are already in the business since a long time are not always willing to just share because they have earned this connection with a lot of work. And but still, I think that a good spirit and yeah, the willingness to share, especially with the youngest of us, it's definitely an important a keystone in inside a good community.
So, Joanna, we'll take some of the questions, and our panels will do justice to them, and then we'll wrap up.
So yes, so we have a lot of attendees who submit their questions from Podongxing, and I'll bring some of the very crucial ones. I think majority of people has asked like how to start a business and also the relevant lessons and like tax support, different license for like international trade, e-commerce. So could Michael and Vika give some solutions or answers for these questions?
Okay, well, part of this. China, when you're open, a couple of things you need. Number one, your business license. So that any business, you will see the on the wall. For those get the business license, they need steps. Number one is their business scope. An example would be manufacturing or hotel operation, restaurant operation, or consult. There's quite a few different options of what the business scope is, and you need to be clear that what you want your business is covered in your business scope. You can change that later, but you really want to try beginning about what you want to be doing, or that the business scope you choose that. There's another in capital. So when you set up in China, you need to have a certain amount of money that you inject into the company. There's number one is the total amount, and number two, documents over what period of time. So for example, are you investing 10,000 US dollars, $1 million US dollars, doing it in 2 months? Are you doing years? Those are all things that you in the process of setting up your business. You need to decide what to be in, and you need to decide what representative is. So those questions you need to go through, and what I would say is you want to find an advisor who can. Some districts say you really should other people who have already set up businesses to double check to make sure that what you're doing. So you don't. You can make some big mistakes by putting the wrong number. So, somebody who's done this before. When you go through the process license, you also set up and you will create a company, and you will get a tax ID number, get the ability to do the tax receipt. So this is all in process. So talk to somebody who's done that before, who can help, but rush you. Don't let the consultant, don't let an accountant rush you, district rush you. Ask a lot of questions, look at different locations to set up your business before you do that. So let me have information there, and we can go over that again. But those are some of the first things to set up a business.
Vika, what about you?
Yeah, I think Michael lined up quite well and quite specifically about which are the most important requirements. And for me, because when I started, this was actually one of the biggest problem. It was important to have like an advisor, and you can find a lot of them on in Tianjin, and for sure also in Beijing. There are also companies that offer this kind of solution, even from other cities, bigger cities. And it was important for me as because I just graduated and I had to face the biggest question like tax and a lot of things that I didn't really understand at the beginning. It was important to have somebody that could answer very specifically those questions. So basically somebody that could help you to concentrate actually on your core business, because you don't want to spend the first year of life of your company thinking about how am I going to deal with the taxes, for example. So you want to have somebody next to you to help you with that, especially if it's, for example, in my case, you just graduated, you just got out of school, and you might have not all the knowledges that you need.
Okay, thank you. So I guess from both of them, the advice they gave is, first of all, be extra careful with the business school, consider it well, and also the capitalism, like how much you like to put on the certificates for your company. And the most important is to asking more questions, talk with more people, and not making any decisions because someone rushing you. So I think that is a very valuable like points for all of us here today. And another questions people are also asking, this one is quite specific, is because of the pandemic, we all has going through a lot this year, and they want to know what are the opportunities for foreigners, especially when it's coming to like collaborate with Chinese market after this like pandemic.
Who is the
Hello?
person? Yes.
Yes. So this question is for Michael. So Michael, are you able to take this?
I would say before, after COVID, the answer for foreigners work, you always need to be able to do. You're not going to get high because you're a foreigner. Value after COVID, it's of course because all companies are feeling a bit. So I would say look at what skills you have, how you can help, and it's important that you find an opportunity to then it is that you get paid a specific. So if you think you're worth 20,000 renminbi a month, they're only willing to pay you 10. If that's the best opportunity, then I would send a contract and much money, and then it's easier to negotiate. No one's going to pay you just, to prove your value.
Thank you. And the next question I think is also very interesting. Actually, they want to know like what are the possible startup opportunities or options for especially students after they graduate from school. So I guess you all have like quite good experience from this one. So can you both take this? Hello?
Vika, you first?
You were breaking up. I can.
Oh, Vika, are you able to hear me clear?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I think you can take this one first. So the question is, what are the possible startup options or opportunities for students after they graduate?
Okay, so it always depends which background do you come from. I know most of the international students that come here in, especially in Tianjin, but also in China, is probably to learn the language. And from my experience, one of the quickest way to get a first overview of the market, of how business in China works, of how people react in certain situations, because I mean, you gotta learn all of that on the first place, even before even before doing the first step. So for me, because I come from a marketing and interpreting background, was very important to have the language knowledge. So when I was working as an interpreter, it wasn't just doing the interpreting, it wasn't just translating all the time, but it was giving me already a lot of insight, and it was giving me the opportunity to meet new people. So I think especially when you just graduated and you're starting very fresh and you have the opportunity to make your little baby, very baby step. It's important to have the occasion to check around and listen. And for me, because I know most of the people here have the opportunity to learn Chinese, to try themselves out. One of my best practices was actually to go out and work as a translator, go to the fair, meet the people, see how do they talk. And when I look back, those were actually the situation that I am in right now. Just I'm on the other side. I'm not the translator anymore. I'm more the entrepreneur, but I'm still myself in those situations, and I know how people reacted back then, and I can most of all do the same. So it's not much about, okay, I graduate and what's the biggest opportunity that I get. But for me, the most important is where can I get the most of the resources in the shortest time, and how can I plan my baby steps.
Thank you. And Michael?
Yeah, I would agree. But I think when you finish university, you're not in a very good position to negotiate. You need to find an opportunity that and then really prove that you're a worthwhile, and that will create more opportunities. People find the perfect opportunity time. So, opportunities you have, and then choose and then work really hard to prove that you're, and make sure that you're always asking good questions, and that you're really the team and you're helping out.
Okay, thank you. And we have our last questions that is from the Xing. The last question is, how do you identify and get relevant business partners? So Michael, can you take this one first?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one, right? Partner, if that means someone to invest in your business, sign a contract with you, really be trustworthy and have a track. So you or your company need to job of proving that, and who has a good reputation, very hard. So I would say very when you're doing business with anyone, that you want impression with everyone, you want to be fair, and that will allow you to find more partners. That's work. So you definitely have to basically, as I think Vika said earlier, young lady, give more than you're giving more, and you'll be able to find good.
Okay, Vika, what is your insight about this one?
I think one of the most important thing is, as Michael also highlighted, is first of all to give. It's not because you have now the big title of entrepreneur that everybody's should start looking up to you. It's actually, especially for me at the beginning, it's a lot of observing, a lot of seeing what other people do. Sometimes I am also a bit scared to say, hey, I have a company, because I'm really still observing the ground. So I think probably
但是你今飞这
Okay, muted.
Sorry.
Sorry.
it's okay.
Yes. Yes, Vika, you can carry on.
Yeah, and just exactly one very, very last point is hardworking and humbleness go well together, especially when you just started. As I said, entrepreneur sounds like a big title, but when you are starting, it's really, really, really about the baby steps. Not all of us are gonna be the Steve Jobs of tomorrow. Not all of us are gonna be super famous and in the next Forbes. It's really, and everybody has really started from the very, very basic. Even if at the start of your journey you already have a business, you already set up a company.
That is very helpful. And actually, we're just about to, get to the time for finishing up. And before we finish, first of all, I want to thank to all the people who has showed up for our event, and especially for our speakers. If you want to still hang out, or we will still be here. And anybody in the audience, if you have like questions, you can raise your hand. We can actually unmute you. And we'll be hanging for a while. And if you have